Hey fight fans, welcome back again to another episode with the African Fighters. And on today's episode, we're going to be giving you a roundup of everything happening in the world of combat sports. Stay with us. Alright, Terence Mitchell is set to debut at UFC 290 as a replacement for Christian Rodriguez against Cameron Saaiman. Cameron Saaiman has not lost a single fight in his career. He made his debut in the UFC on the 10th of December in 2022 against Steven Kozlow at UFC 282 event. He won his debut match via TKO. His second win came against Mana Martinez at UFC 285 by majority decision. At the UFC 290 event, Terence Mitchell will make his UFC debut against Cameron Saaiman. Terence Mitchell's recent bout was against Christian Alexander at the Alaska Combat Entertainment, where he won by submission. He is currently on a 10-fight win streak. UFC 290 event is scheduled for July the 8th at Las Vegas, Nevada, United States, headlined by Alexander Volkanovski the Great taking on Yair Rodriguez, while Brandon Moreno will face Alexander Pantoja for the flyweight championship of the UFC. After years of talk regarding a desired venture into the boxing ring, former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou is still awaiting his debut in the sport. Talk of Ngannou lacing up the boxing gloves picked up this year when he chose to depart from the UFC in pursuit of better contractual terms. While that included factors such as healthcare and fighter advocate in board meetings, perhaps the most publicized disagreement with the UFC surrounded his freedom to box. During a recent appearance on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, popular promoter Eddie Hearn addressed Ngannou's current career standing and ongoing boxing ambitions, while the British promoter once again reiterated that his man Joshua is looking to focus on his lofty aspirations as a leading heavyweight boxer. He noted rumors of a more appropriate opponent for Ngannou. There's talks of him against Derek Chisora, Eddie Hearn said. There are rumors about a third fight for that night in December, which could be Ngannou against Chisora. I actually quite like that fight because I don't see Francis being competitive against Tyson or AJ, but a little bit more competitive against Chisora. I think that's the way they want it. Interestingly, Chisora has previously thrown his name in the hat for Ngannou's opening foray into boxing. Following the knockout artist UFC departure this past January, the two-time WBC heavyweight title challenger and former British Commonwealth champion suggested that he will be open to facing the Predator in both boxing and MMA during an Instagram live session. One championship heavyweight king, Aljamain, was happy to see Francis Ngannou get paid big money after leaving the UFC, and he also hasn't given up on the idea of facing the former heavyweight champion at some point in the future. A UFC veteran himself, Bula put together a 3-1 record in the promotion before joining one championship in 2019. It only took one win over Mauro Cerilli for one to book him into a fight against Brandon Vera, who he stopped in the second round to claim the promotion's heavyweight title. Now set to defend his belt for the first time this weekend against interim title holder Anatoly Malikin. Bula spoke to MMA junkie Danny Sangura and was asked if he was disappointed at all that Ngannou signed with the PFL instead of one championship. Here is what he had to say.
Yeah, that was mixed feelings. First off, good on him. He was able to beat the machine and get a great deal for himself. It proves MMA is real because he's the highest paid heavyweight of all time and it's outside the UFC. But yeah, I would have loved for it to be within one championship. I'm an athlete. I like to test myself against the best. He is the lineal MMA champion of the world. He holds that title and that prestige right now. I would have loved to be able to compete for that.
As expected, the result of this past weekend headliner has seen Victor Jared Cannonier and the defeated Marvin Vettori switch places. Heading into the matchup, they were seated 4 and 3 respectively, but after Cannonier emerged victorious, he now holds the number 3 spot. But that wasn't the only change inside the middleweight top 5. Former title challenger Paulo Costa has also found himself falling. He's dropped to the number 6 spot, while informed Dricus du Plessis now ranks at number 5. Breaking into the division's upper echelon, weeks out from his title eliminator against Robert Whittaker. Whittaker has also heaped praise on the South African ahead of their eliminator matchup, stating that a lot of opponents in the past have not given Dricus du Plessis enough respect in fights, hence their loss.
And I understand the threat that Dricus can bring to the table and bring to me moving forward to trying to achieve what I want. I do believe that is one of the major reasons why Dricus has had the success he's had, because he's going up against these dudes, and these guys are not giving him his credit. They're not giving him the respect his skill set deserves.
Despite both men now competing under different promotional banners, talk of a blockbuster heavyweight collision between Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou doesn't appear set to dissipate anytime soon. The pair have frequently gone back and forth since Ngannou departed the UFC in January, and Jones subsequently took over the throne with a victory over Cyril Gane 2 months later. After some exchanges on social media and in interviews, the Predator and Bones finally came face to face last week at the Professional Fighters League latest event in Atlanta, where Jones was cornering teammate Maurice Green. The interaction was relatively respectful, and both men reiterating their past stances, with the former UFC heavyweight champion noting that he was willing to fight Jon Jones throughout his 3 years on the sidelines, and the reigning title holder insisted that he had to adequately bulk up in order to share the cage with Francis Ngannou. During a recent episode of the Weekly Scraps podcast on his YouTube channel, UFC kingpin Aljamain provided his assessment of the viral face-off between Ngannou and Jones. In his words, he said, "Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou, who is really the king of Wakanda. What I don't like is that it took 3 years for Jon Jones to get there. Respectfully, when they had the face-off, he brought that up, and I kind of agree with him." Jon Jones also responded that he needed 3 years to get big enough to be able to fight Francis Ngannou, and Aljamain also agrees that they both have equal points, but he still sides a little bit towards Francis Ngannou. Alright guys, that's it from us for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your comments in the comment section. We'll see you in the next episode.
Louder! We are Africans. Come on, Africans!